afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as we prepare ourselves for the first elimination race of the Chase for the Championship here in Season 4 of the Hershey's Cup Series. Here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we are about to shrink the field down of Chase drivers from 16, which we started the chase out with, now down to 12 when the checker flag waves here today at the home to the yard of bricks. We have some drivers that are coming into this race very well situated to be able to move into that top 12, but there's a lot of drivers that are down either outside or right around that cut line, and they're going to be hoping for a good run here today. Only one driver comes into this race completely assured of moving into that final 12, and that is, of course, Benjamin Miles, who went to victory lane at our first chase race at Chicagoland. Kyle Mathews went to victory lane last week, so that denied a chase driver from automatically moving into the final 12. So Benjamin Miles, the only driver we know so far that has raced his way into the top 12 to move on to the next round of the Chase for the Championship. Is starting on the pole is a driver that is hopeful, I should say, of moving on to the top 12, and that is J Arndt. Arndt in his first Chase for the Championship. He's rolling off alongside of L McIntire. A lot of non-chasers starting up here inside the top 6 with Joshua Michael, Zachary Fitzwater, J Gardner, and J Srigley, the top 6, and I believe Benjamin Miles is the car rolling off there from 7th, and we know that he's already locked into the next round of the Chase for the Championship. Without further ado, though, let's go down trackside, get those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
And you can take a look down in the description at the starting lineup to see where the rest of the Chase drivers are going to be starting this race off from. Coming into today's race, M Haas is the points leader, and I think he's in pretty good shape of being able to make it into the next round because he has about a 50-point advantage over 12th in the stands, which is currently held by Trent Dunham. D Poteet is second in the point standings. He is about 35 points ahead of Trent Dunham. Charles Sandfer and Sean Gallighan, they're tied for third in the stands. They are roughly trying to calculate points here in my head, so I apologize if I'm stuttering a bit. 32 points in hand over 12th in the standings, and Benjamin Miles already locked into the next round is 5th in the standings. And then it gets really, really interesting as you start going further down. Cody Llamas is 6th in the points. He's 28 points ahead of the cut line. Only a mere 17 points ahead of the cut line is 7th in the stands, Anthony McCrury. J Arndt, the pole sitter, 8th in the stands. He also is 17 points ahead of the cut line. 8 points ahead of the cut line is Blaine Keys. He's 9th in the standings. Emmanuel Hartnett is only 3 points ahead of the cut line in 10th. J Baskinger 1 point ahead of the cut line in 11th. And we mentioned Trent Dunham right there on the cut line in the 12th position. And the drivers outside of the top 12 right now, you've got J Bryant. He is 13th in points. He is 9 points behind Trent Dunham. 10 points behind Trent Dunham is Jessica Shelton, 14th in the stands. J McCloud is 15th. He is a total of 15 points back, and a total of 18 points back is G Sydnor, 16th of the 16 Chase drivers. I would say for both McCloud and Sydnor, it's almost a must-win situation for these guys, or else they really need to be up here in the top 10 for most of this run to get those valuable stage points, which will be 10 laps in length. Lap 10, lap 20, and lap 30 will be our stage finishes, and stage points we know, as we saw in the Pizza Hut X Series race yesterday, are going to be very important as the green flag is out. We're underway in chase race number 3 here at Indianapolis. J Arndt Chevrolet, Joshua Michaels Honda, J Gardner's Dodge, now the top 3. Oh, there's close back there between Srigley and Zachary Fitzwater, and they settle it out. It was 3 wide. Brandon Gonzales very wisely backing out of that situation, allowing Srigley a place in line. We nearly had a wreck there off turn 2. Charles Sandfer trying to get to the inside of J Arndt, be the highest running chaser as J Gardner paces the field. Sandfer will move to 3rd, now looks for 2nd. And I think we got a wreck. We do. Caution. Problem over in turn 3. So again, for the 3rd time this weekend, we have the caution come out before we even get to complete lap 1. This happened in the non-charter race. This happened in the Pizza Hut X Series race. They wrecked much earlier at the exit of turn 2, and it looks like turn 3 is where the Hershey's Cup Series charter drivers are going to have their first caution. And this is where it gets interesting now, because with that early caution, which I kind of expected was going to happen, we got to see if any chasers were involved, because that one wreck could spell the difference between who's moving on to the next round of the chase and who isn't. They may end up pitting under this caution too, because they're going to have to pit before we reach the checkered flag. And let's see who was involved. L Alvarise was in it, and N Hudson. Those are a couple of non-chasers. Damage there on the 42 though of Blaine Keys. A lot of rear end damage, a lot of left side damage on his U.S. Army Chevrolet, and he came in just ahead of the cut line. Jessica Shelton might have been involved, and she's just outside the cut line, and a little bit of damage as well on the hood of James McCloud. And as I mentioned, he was almost in one of those must-win situations coming into this race, and now he's got quite a buckle there on the front of his Tweenix Racing Chevrolet. Looks like everybody else, though, for the most part, got through unscathed, and got some drivers that are coming to pit road. Oops, I'm hitting the wrong button here. Apologize. J Bryant is coming to pit road. Looks like he's got any damage. So this looks like a regularly scheduled stop for the starbound Ford Fusion. There's James McCloud coming down as well. Looks like K Tellier also got a piece of the incident. Some rear end damage on that Lincoln. There's 3 chasers right there. McCloud, Shelton, and Keys. They're going to repair McCloud. They're going to repair Shelton. And Blaine Keys pulls into his stall. They're going to repair him. So it looks like all 3 of the chase drivers got involved are going to try and continue, as J Gardner is the race leader under our first yellow of the day here at Indianapolis. Incident's going to start here, heading into turn 3 towards the straightaway between 3 and 4. 3 wide. K Tellier up on the outside line. And I don't know if Flickinger came up into K Mathews or if Mathews just on his own came up into K Tellier. Whatever the case, though, hooks K Tellier in the left rear quarter panel. And then Tellier's car going to come up right there in front of James McCloud. Nowhere for the 51 to go. Wow, heavy hit there for N Hudson. Blaine Keys trapped up on the high side. Nowhere he could go. Same for L Alvarise and Jessica Shelton. J Kurtis also got a piece of that there in the 55. He got 2 pieces of it. Not only hitting K Tellier, but then gets side slammed by Blaine Keys. And that's the guy who went to victory lane here a couple of days ago in our Hershey's Cup Series non-charter race, which qualified him into this one. So that's another driver that I didn't know got involved, and was a tough break there for J Kurtis, who was trying to follow up his non-charter win here a couple of days ago with a good run here in the charter race. And he immediately was heading for pit road, so that's why we didn't see him when we went and were looking at the drivers that were involved. Looks like he must have already taken his car back behind the wall. So tough break there for J Kurtis. But obviously the cars that we're going to have to be keeping an eye on are Jessica Shelton, James McCloud, and Blaine Keys, because, you know, for Shelton and McCloud, this is certainly detrimental, because they're 2 drivers that came into this race outside of that 8th in the standings cut line. And Blaine Keys was really close that a bad run could knock him out of the top 12, so we'll keep an eye on them. They're obviously hoping that a lot of other chase drivers encounter some problems here today as well. Still a long ways to go in this one here today in Indianapolis, so let's go back to live action. Getting ready to go back green on lap 6 of 30, which will give us 5 laps to go in our first stage, 15 laps to go, or make that, wow, 25 laps to go, I should say, overall in today's event. As you can see, 2 drivers have taken their cars behind the wall after our first caution of the day, N Hudson and J Kurtis. And you can see right there, 37th, 38th, and 40th. Jessica Shelton, James McCloud, Blaine Keys, all able to continue. And you can see J Bryant there, 35th. He was a driver who decided to come to pit road under that caution, so he's lost a lot of track position, but it also puts him off the pit sequence of all these other drivers if we end up having this thing run green flag to the end, because these leaders up here are all going to have to pit before this race is over. J Gardner out in front looking for his 2nd win of the season. Went to victory lane earlier this year at Rockingham, North Carolina. Behind him, Charles Sandfer trying to work his way into the next round of the chase for the championship. He restarts 2nd. Josh O'Michael's 3rd, and then 2 more chasers complete the top 5. Pole sitter J Arndt and Benjamin Miles. And it's Caitlin Tsang, Dallas McIntosh, Joseph Srigley, Brandon Gonzales, and Zachary Fitzwater. Let's find out what the rest of our chasers are restarting. Sean Gallighan restarts in 12th, Garrett Sydnor in 14th, Trent Dunham in 16th, Matt Haas in 17th, Anthony McCrury back in 20th, K Llamas in 21st, Emmanuel Hartnett in 22nd, Dylan Poteet in 24th, J Baskinger 27th, and then gotta go a long ways down before you find J Bryant 35th, Shelton in 37th, McCloud in 38th, and Blaine Keys in 40th, but all 16 of our chase drivers are still running and still on the lead lap. Couple cars were stepping out of line there at the drop of the green flag. Sean Gallighan back there just outside the top 10, and here's the battle for the lead. Charles Sandfer, big run through turns 1 and 2. He's all over the back bumper of the Discount Tire Dodge, and he's going to go for the race lead. Whoa, close call there as he slides up a bit, but he will take the top position from J Gardner, and now Gardner going to have to fight with Joshua Michaels to keep second. It's Charles Sandfer to the point. Sandfer comes into this race tied for second. It's a 5-way tie between himself and 4 others for second most top 10s this season with 10 top 10s. Matt Haas also has 10 top 10s along with J Arndt, Zachary Fitzwater, and K Tellier. The only driver that has more top 10s than they do, Levi McIntire, with 11. So it's been a very consistent season for Charles Sandfer. Not the dominating 4-win season that he had back in Season 2, but certainly very consistent, and I've said it more often than not. Wins are good in the chase, but consistency is the key to winning a championship, and a lot of drivers have been utilizing that, taking that to heart. Matt Haas, Dylan Poteet, Charles Sandfer, Sean Gallighan, all having very consistent chases up to this point. Benjamin Miles has actually been pretty consistent too, even though he already has that win at Chicagoland. And like I said, this thing may settle into a long green flag run because they are starting to really spread out. Brandon Gonzales trying to get by Benjamin Miles for position. There is the guy that came into this race on that cut line of 12th in the standings, Trent Dunham. He just lost a couple of spots, one to Tim Walsh, one to Cole Baker. That dropped him back to the 12th position, but Trent Dunham right now, this is what he needs to do. He needs to have himself up here towards the front. It would be even better for him if he can get himself back up there inside the top 10, because then he could get stage points. We're getting close to the end of this stage, and there's a driver that really needs a good run. He's almost in a must-win situation kind of thing, and that is Garrett Sydnor. Comes into this race so far back, 27 points back from the 12th in the standings spot. He really needs to get himself these stage points, so he's trying to fight his way up to the top 10, but he may run out of time, at least for getting stage points here at the completion of stage 1. And oh boy, things getting hairy up here in this group. This is from about the 6th position on back. Trent Dunham, though, fighting his way up into the top 10 now, following in the tire tracks of Sean Gallighan. Meanwhile, as we move back up to the front, the gap between Charles Sandfer and J Gardner still staying about the same. It's about maybe 2.5 to 3 car lengths. Gardner got a nice run there through turn 3, though. Almost overdrove it. Almost got up there into the outside wall, but if he did, he brushed it, and that's all. And now he's going to lose a little bit off of turn 4, but he's right there. Next time by is the completion of our first stage. Charles Sandfer, I think we could say, if he can win this stage and finish in the top 10, he's definitely going to be locked into the next round of the chase for the championship. 2 seasons ago, Charles Sandfer was in the Final 4 in the hunt for the championship, but ended up losing out to Chris Dodd, who was the eventual champion in Season 2 series. Now look it up there, as you can see, you've got Sandfer, J Arndt, Sean Gallighan, Benjamin Miles, and Trent Dunham. Almost every other driver, a chase driver. Off turn 4, Charles Sandfer will win the first stage of the day here at Indianapolis, so 10 valuable bonus points to him. J Gardner will be second. J Arndt, he's going to get 7 bonus points as he's going to get 4th. Sean Gallighan dropped to 8th, so he'll get 3 bonus points, and Trent Dunham will get 2, and the caution is out. Yellow flag is out for the second time here today, and I thought maybe, just maybe, the way they were spread out, that we might get into maybe green flag to the end and have to see these guys make green flag pit stops. This is a caution that I think a lot of drivers were hoping for, especially up at the front, because now they'll have the opportunity to pit under yellow rather than under green flag conditions. So Charles Sandfer, just after the completion of stage 1, will bring them down here to our second caution of the day, and looks like an incident on the front straightaway. Haven't had too many of those this weekend. Caution out, Charles Sandfer will go and pick up the Dodge Charger pace car. And based off the skid marks, it looks like it was either a single car incident or maybe only 2 cars at the most. We'll see if we can find out who it was. Oh, that might be the answer. Emmanuel Hartnett, and that's another Chase driver. Although it looks like he's coming off pit road. Oh no, he's coming to pit road. Not sure why he was using the access road. But he's coming to the pit lane. There's another car on pit road too, and that's Dylan Young in the 2 car. Don't see much damage on the 83, so that's why I'm wondering why he was using the access road coming through 3 and 4. Only thing well, no, skid marks aren't even heading down towards that commitment cone. I wonder if he crossed the commitment cone or something. They're going to repair that car. I do not see any damage on that machine. We'll have to see if he sustained any damage if he was the car that spun there on the front straightaway. We're under caution for the second time here today, nearing the halfway point at Indianapolis. Well, this looked very similar to the 3-wide wreck we had going into turn 1 in yesterday's Pizza Hut X Series race. They were 3 wide, and they all just didn't give each other room. That was Cole Deaver, Garrett Sydnor, and Brandon Gonzales. And Sydnor going to get hit there by Angel Navarro. And then right there is a shot. Oh, that was actually a pretty hard lick there into Emmanuel Hartnett. And Dylan Young going to get a piece of it there in the 2 car as well. Oh! And then another shot there to Sydnor from Trace Williams. Anthony McCrury back behind this too. So it looked like the skid marks were only basically a single car incident. Nope, not the case. Definitely a multi-car wreck. And that right there, that wreck could have taken Garrett Sydnor out of this chase. That wreck right there could have taken him out of the chase for the championship. He was almost technically in a must-win situation, and he took a couple of hard shots there. One from Trace Williams, one from Emmanuel Hartnett, and that may have spelled the end of his championship hopes. And also Emmanuel Hartnett, looks like they were trying to repair that car when we were still on live action, but that car sustained quite a bit of heavy contact, especially to the right front of his Toyota Camry. And Hartnett came into this race just a mere 8 points ahead of that cut line. No, I'm sorry, 3 points ahead of that cut line. So we're going to have to keep our eyes on him, see if he's going to be able to battle back after a bit of damage sustained as well. So we had a total of, it looks like, about 2 chases involved in this one. And we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here, getting to the closing stages of this race. It could come down to a mere point as to who's going to be making it to the next round of the chase for the championship and who isn't. Well, we're getting ready to go back to green. It'll be on lap 16 of 30, so we will be right at the halfway point with 15 laps to go. And as I stated, those drivers very pleased to see that caution come out because they were able to come to pit road under caution rather than pit under green. Joseph Srigley's team gets it done on pit road. They get him off pit road first, and so he will restart as the leader. Cole Baker's team, a very fast pit stop as well. He'll restart second. Charles Sandfer drops from being the race leader coming to pit road, comes out in third. Sean Gallighan in fourth. And how about Chris Dodd? His team picked up 6 spots on pit road, moving him from 10th to 5th for the restart. Chelsea Bowles up there in 6th, non-charter driver. Great run for her. Joshua Michaels dropped back to 7th. Johnny Gardner fell all the way back to 8th. Tim Walsh will restart in 9th with Kyle Mathews in the 10th position. You see Emmanuel Hartnett and Dylan Young. The two of them came to pit road under a closed pit road when we were under caution, so they are restarting behind the pace car. On the tail end of the lead lap, they are scored in, I believe it's 38th and 39th, just ahead of the race leader, Joseph Srigley. We'll have to see if they're up to speed. One driver out of the race, That is K Tellier out of the race due to a mechanical issue, so nobody that was involved in the wreck there out of this event. Green flag back in the air. 15 laps to go here at Indianapolis. Dylan Young to the inside on Emmanuel Hartnett. That's for position. That looks like Hartnett's car not entirely up to speed. We're wondering, with the contact he sustained at the front end of his race car with that wreck on the front straightaway, if that was going to affect him speed-wise. I think we can safely say the answer is yes, and now he's holding up that entire outside line with Charles Sanford, Chelsea Bowles, and others. And now Srigley makes quick work of Dylan Young, and now he's got the Seth Cole Baker Motorsports Fords running right behind him. Cole Baker in the 18, Sean Gallighan in the 44. Hang on, though, they may battle amongst themselves before they battle with Srigley, and there goes Gallighan. He's going to try and get to the inside on his teammate in the 18. Kyle Mathews, who went to victory lane for the second time this season last week at Dodge Motor Dome, now up here in the top 10. Defending champion of the Hershey's Cup Series, going to be unable to defend his title this year, but talked to him last week before the Dodge Motor Dome race, and he said their goal, just go out and win as many races as possible here before the completion of Season 4. Well, looks like that's definitely a goal they're living up to. And we saw a number of chasers up here at the front early on. Well, now we're starting to see a couple more chasers peek up here after our first round of pit stops. Cody Llamas has now worked his way into the top 10, as has Dylan Poteet, as we nearly had a wreck right there. Johnny Gardner going to the inside of Sean Gallighan for second, and they nearly made some contact in the middle of 3 and 4. Let's drop back there. There is Cody. Cody in the 48. There's Trent Dunham, and how about JT Bryant? Bryant up here at close to the top 10. He's actually crossed the line last time by in 9th. Bryant was one of the only few cars that were on the lead lap that came to pit road under our first caution. Gained himself some track position as a result, maybe having to be able to go with fuel only, and I don't like the way this looks here, back with Chris Dodd and Caleb Farrell, Dylan Poteet. They settle it back out to double wide. Pretty bad when you get nervous seeing them go 3 wide in Indy. Indy's a very spacious track, but not really in the corners. There's not a heck of a lot of bank here, so if someone makes a mistake, it doesn't take much for them to slip up, and a 3 wide situation can very easily become a big-time wreck. Now, there were a couple of drivers got involved in an earlier incident today that came into this race outside of that 12th in the position in the standings cut line. One of them was Jessica Shelton. Came into this race 9 points out of that cut line position. No, 10 points out of that cut line position. She's trying to recover here. But some other drivers, oh, trouble up there! That's another chaser, 2 chasers! McCrury and Dylan Poteet, along with Z Flickinger, Levi McIntire. They're gonna get hit. Someone's gonna nail him. I think they just got hit by Trace Williams. Caution's out. And 2 more chasers in trouble. McIntire, or make that McCrury in the 61, Dylan Poteet in the 31. And just like that, the battle to stay in the top 12 gets even more crazy, as we will have less than 10 to go when we do get back green. Joseph Srigley just barely beating Johnny Gardner to the line, and those are a couple of spots that drivers like Jessica Shelton and Blaine Keys needed. Anthony McCrury came into this race 7th in the point standings. He was only 17 points ahead of that 12th in the standings cut line. The only former champion to make it into this season's chase. Dylan Poteet was in a little bit better stead. He came into this race 35 points ahead of the cut line, 2nd in the point standings, but obviously did not want to finish out today's race with a DNF, so we'll go back, look at a replay, just see how hard the licks were. Tough break there as well for Z Flickinger and Levi McIntire getting caught up in this, along with the 57 of Trace Williams. As Joseph Srigley, who went to victory lane twice last year in back-to-back races, he paces the field here today at Indianapolis, looking for what would be, I believe, his 4th career victory and first of the, or is it first or no, 2nd of the season, right? Yeah, 2nd of the season for that 24 car. As we're under caution, let's go back and look at a replay, and nope, they're not coming to pit road, so we can go back and look at a replay now of what happened. Puts under the caution for the third time here today at Indy. Well, this is what basically started it. Z Flickinger going way down there, 3 wide, and I don't know if McIntyre came down to block or if McCrury came up to block. Whatever the case, though, they did not make that 3 wide work at all. D Poteet kind of caught there on the high line. He kind of got clipped into it. I don't really know who to put that one on. I mean, everybody took different lanes going there into the corner. Flickinger slipped up a little, it looked like. McCrury slipped up a little, and McIntyre came down, and Flickinger's going to be the one that's going to get pile driven right there by the 57 of Trace Williams, a fellow Dodge Dart, T-boning him. I thought that the hit was actually going to be a lot more violent. Luckily, Trace Williams had been able to get on the brakes a little bit earlier, but wasn't able to slow up enough to avoid making any contact with Flickinger. So I don't know where this is going to put McCrury and Poteet as far as speed-wise in this thing. And however much speed they're able to get out of their Chevy and Ford Fusion respectively might be the difference as to whether they're moving on to the next round of the chase or not. We're going to have less than 10 to go when we restart as well, so we may end up having a shootout to finish it out here at Indy. Let's go back now and find out what it's going to be. It'll be 7 laps to go when we go back green. Hopefully we'll finish those 7 laps under the green flag. Joseph Srigley showing the way. And as you saw, Joseph Srigley was the winner of our second stage of the day. So Joseph Srigley with 10 valuable bonus points. You looked there at the drivers out of the race after that wreck. Trace Williams, 39th, 38th for Z Flickinger. D Poteet in 37th. Now, Poteet never got up in the top 10 near the completion of stage 1 or 2, so he will not get any stage points today. He came in with a 35-point cushion between himself and 12th in the standings, and there have been a number of drivers below him that have had some issues today, Anthony McCrury being one, Blaine Keys being another, Emmanuel Hartnett, so Poteet might still be okay to move on to the next round of the chase, but we'll have to wait till our NNSCRA calculators confirm this. You have Emmanuel Hartnett and Dylan Young. They'll restart a lap down, but due to being less than 10 to go, they will not restart on that inside line. And then let's find out where our chasers are running for this restart. Sean Gallighan, the highest running chaser, in 3rd. K Llamas and teammate Benjamin Miles, they're in 5th and 6th. JT Bryant in 8th, and Trent Dunham in 9th. So 5 chasers restarting in the top 10. Charles Sandfer back in 14th. J Arndt 15th. Baskinger in 16th place. Matt Haas 22nd, Shelton in 25th, Blaine Keys 26th, McCloud in 29th, G Sydnor in 30th, and Anthony McCrury, the last chaser on the lead lap, in 34th. We mentioned Hartnett 36th, a lap down. The only chaser out of the race now is D Poteet. Green flag back out, 7 laps to go, and J Gardner was ready to the inside for the race lead on Joseph Srigley. K Llamas working his way up there. Benjamin Miles with him. Whoa! Did they just wreck? Oh, I guess not. Okay, I thought I saw a car get turned, and I thought it was Dallas McIntosh, but nope, we're still good, at least for the moment. Benjamin Miles, 5th in the point stands. Win at Chicagoland locks him into the next round anyway, but he'd love to be able to pick up a second win here today, which will give him a 6-point advantage over everybody else when the points are reformatted heading into next week's race. He'll work his way now by teammate K Llamas. How about Cole Deaver? Cole Deaver's had quite a weekend. Had a top 10 run in the non-charter race here a couple of days ago. Caution's out! That could end the race. Caution is out. Going back to Cole Deaver, though, he also had a solid outing in the Pizza Hut X Series race here yesterday, and now up there in the 6th position here in today's Hershey's Cup Series charter event. But the caution out, we took it with 6 laps to go, which means we could get a 1-lap shootout, maybe a little bit more. I don't know for certain, but more importantly, the yellow flag's out, and why is the yellow flag out? James McCloud involved, and that is going to be it for McCloud's chase hopes. He already came into this race outside of the top 12 in the standings, and second caution he's involved today in. L Alvarise also getting a piece of whatever the incident was, and it looks like those were the only two. We have an incident really at the very back of the field. I think those two were basically running near the tail end. They were both damaged and somewhat off the pace, and I think we may have had an incident in a battle for last place, maybe put us under what could potentially be our final caution of the day. We'll come back, find out if we are going to be able to go back green. J Gardner probably hopes we don't. Srigley, Gallighan, Miles, Llamas, they hope we do. I kind of hope we do too, because I want to see a green flag finish, but nonetheless, let's take a look and see what happened to put us under the caution for the 4th time here today at Indy. And actually, I was incorrect. This is our 5th caution. J McCloud battling back here with a lot of other damaged machines. G Sydnor, Levi McIntire, the lap car of E Hartnett, Anthony McCrury. And just like we've seen all weekend, off turn 3, Hartnett's car gets tight, comes up the track, gets McCloud in the left rear. McCloud almost saves it, but right there the car's going to snap loose. Hartnett trying to get off of him but can't do it. McCloud going to hit the wall pretty hard there. Almost collects Hartnett back up, and watch this, just absolutely nowhere for Alvarise to go. Hello. Oh my goodness. Oh my, what a violent hit for both McCloud and L Alvarise. Bad enough for McCloud that he basically, with where he was running, was going to be out of the chase anyway, but to have his day come to an end at Indianapolis like this, look at that, barrel rolling down the turn 4 area. The crowd right there getting a rather grim view of a barrel rolling Dragon Ball Z Chevrolet. And just like that barrel roll, J McCloud's hopes of moving on to the next round of the chase for the championship are rolling away and may be gone now. Boy, that was a violent, violent impact for both McCloud and L Alvarise. Hopefully both drivers are okay. Getting ready to go back green. This race will hopefully finish under green flag conditions, as we will have a green-white checkered to finish things out here today at Indianapolis. Once the green flag waves, the next flag will end the race, whether it be the yellow flag they come to or the white flag. If they come back to the caution, the race will end under caution. If they come back to the white, we will race back to the checkered flag no matter what. J Gardner out in front, J Srigley in second, a couple of non-chasers looking for their second wins of the season. Then you got Sean Gallighan lined up there in third. He's a chaser, trying to get his second win of the season. All right, our Pizza Hut X Series race, we had 2 chasers win in our first 3 chase races. We had a winner at Chicagoland and a winner here at Indianapolis. Well, Benjamin Miles won at Chicagoland for the Hershey's Cup Series. Sean Gallighan would love to be able to win here at Indianapolis. Miles lines up right there, though, in fourth. He's looking for his second chase win of the season, third overall. Cody Llamas lining up there in fourth. He's also looking for his second win of the season. Good run for both of the NW Racing Dodges. Cole Deaver right up there in sixth place with J Bryant in seventh. Dallas McIntosh in eighth. Cole Baker and Caleb Farrell will complete your top 10 as we get ready to go back green. Been a tough day today for Tweenix Racing's cars overall. J McCloud out of the race after that incident, along with L Alvarise. McCloud and Poteet 35th and 37th for the 2 Tweenix Racing chase drivers. And it looks like one of them will not be moving on to the next round. Here we go, green-white checkered here today at Indy. Gardner gets us back underway. And here comes Gallighan. Wasting little time, he's going to go to the inside of Srigley for the second spot. Miles going to follow him. Gardner begins to open up his gap now between that battle for second place. Gallighan will clear. He'll move into second place. Here comes Cody Llamas with Cole Deaver, though. They're going to battle now, try to get by Gallighan for second, as Gardner out in front. Lots of clean racetrack for him. Big gap continues to grow between himself and this battle for second. They just got to make it back for the white flag, and we will race to the checkers. Off turn 4, still green, still green. Wave that white flag, Mr. Flagman. It is out for J Gardner. Cody Llamas there in second. Does he have enough time to run Gardner down to even challenge for the race win? Gardner went to victory lane at Rockingham, North Carolina, but he wasn't high enough in the point standings for that win to count towards a spot in the chase for the championship. Looking for some sweet redemption here for his second win of the season. It's Dodge Darts 1-2-3, and Cody Llamas with a big head of steam down the back straightaway. He may be able to challenge. I don't know if he'll be able to get by Johnny Gardner, but here comes Cole Deaver to the inside for second. Not going to be able to make the move. Bryant now to the inside for third. Cody still about a car length and a half back, not even going to be able to challenge out of turn 4. Johnny Gardner will turn for home. Second win of the season for Johnny Gardner. He will take the checkered flag. He'll kiss the yard of bricks here at Indianapolis. And I think now the caution's out. Nope, we were still green. Never mind, I thought I saw the yellow lights. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7 for the Dodge Darts here today at Indianapolis. Boy, that manufacturer made a statement in the closing stages. And Johnny Gardner will pick up his second win of the season for that entry out of Fitzwater, Australia Racing. How about that? Cody Llamas will finish the highest finishing chaser today in second place. He came into today's race situated 6th in the standings. No doubt in my mind he will be moving on to the top 12. J Bryant, you think back to when he came to pit road, the only car that was basically up at the front that came to pit road under our first caution, gained himself track position later on when everybody else came to pit road for their necessary pit stop. He gets a top 5 run today in 4th. I think he'll move on to the next round, maybe. He came in just barely behind that cut line, but a solid top 5 for him. We know Benjamin Miles is moving on to the next round as he won at Chicagoland, but he gets a solid run of 5th today. And Sean Gallighan, 10th place for the 44. He came in 4th in points, so I think he will move on to the next round as well. But everybody else, don't really know. Let's see where they all officially finished this race here. So we look on down through the finishing results. Charles Sandford brings it home in 11th. J Arndt in 12th. J Baskinger 13th. So those chasers might be good to go to make it into the top 12. Trent Dunham came in as the cut line driver, and he gets 16th place, so we'll have to see if he makes it in. And then they got to go a long ways down. Those are the drivers that had the good runs. Now we move down to the drivers that struggled today in Indianapolis. You find Jessica Shelton in 25th, Blaine Keys in 26th. Don't know if that'd be enough to move them into the top 12 or not. And then you move further down here. Wow, look at that. I just noticed Matt Haas had a problem late in this thing, but as we continue down the running order, 29th place for Garrett Sydnor. I think that's his chase hopes done. Anthony McCrury finishes last chaser on the lead lap in 30th as he finished just ahead of Angel Navarro. Manuel Hartnett finished a lap down in 33rd. Matt Haas out of the race, a gearbox issue for him in the closing stages, so that is a tough break for him. He came in with a huge 50-point cushion, though, between himself and 12th in the stand, so I think he's still good to go for the next round. But James McCloud looks like he will not be in the next round as he finishes 35th, and he came into this race outside of that top 12 in the standings cut line, and his teammate Dylan Poteet was the other chaser that finished out of the race in 37th after getting involved in our 4th caution of the day. And you look on down here, the rest of the drivers that finished out of the race: L Alvarise, Z Flickinger, Trace Williams, K Tellier, Nathan Hudson, and the guy who went to victory lane here a couple of days ago in the non-charter race, DJ Kurtis, finishing in the 42nd position. So while it's hard for me to be able to, in my head, calculate who's moving on, who isn't, there are a couple of drivers I know for certain are moving on to the next round of the chase for the championship. Pretty certain Cody Llamas is moving on. We know Benjamin Miles is. J Bryant, I think, is going to make it. I think Gallighan, Sandford, J Arndt, J Baskinger, and potentially Trent Dunham are all good to go. The other drivers, though, not entirely certain, and we're going to have to wait to find out what the calculations will tell us. Two drivers that I'm almost certain will not be moving on to the next round of the chase would be James McCloud and Garrett Sydnor. They really needed a lot more to go their way today, and both got involved in crashes during the course of this race. So it doesn't look like McCloud nor Garrett Sydnor, who both are taking part in their first chase for the championship of their career, looks like they will not be moving any further on than the top 16. So that's going to do it here today from Indianapolis. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe to become part of the crew today. Up next, we're going to show you your rookie points as well as your overall point standings and your chase points heading into chase race number 4. We're going to be getting set to go racing, I believe, at the dirt track of Oswego next week. We'll see Pizza Hut X Series action as well as Hershey's Cup Series action, as both series are going to begin their second round of the chase for the championship. There'll be 8 championship drivers for the Pizza Hut X Series, 12 for the Hershey's Cup Series, as we continue to work our way towards the season finale to crown a champion at Auto Club. We'll see you all next time, as you've been watching a production of the NCRA Offline Racing as Best. See you guys next week at Oswego.